everyone, I'm Drew Goldfarb, joined by Rick Rockwell. Today we're breaking down the championships at Wimbledon. The event begins July 1st at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club in London. Rick, let's start with last year's champions. In 2018, Novak Djokovic won for the men. Angelique Kerber won for the women. How are they looking? Are they both the favorites for the 2019 event?
You know, according to tennis betting sites, Djokovic is a clear-cut favorite on the men's side. He's actually the clear-cut favorite overall on men or women based on his odds available, his listed odds available. Regardless of what sportsbook you look at, he's a significant favorite above everybody else. With that said, he should, theoretically, a healthy Djokovic should be able to win Wimbledon again for the second straight year because he's the best player in tennis right now. Other than Nadal and Federer, there aren't any other competitors that are consistently as good as them. Nobody else has gotten to that level yet. You got some younger studs that are coming up in the ranks, but they're not even close to that yet. Djokovic, you know, to use a basketball term, is a slam dunk to win on the men's side as long as he stays healthy. On the women's side, I wouldn't – Kerber's not even one of the odds-on favorites. You got like Barty, Serena, Osaka, and Kiki, maybe not Kiki, but at least those three who are ahead of her in the betting odds. For me, I would even put Kiki ahead of her. So I would have Kerber as the fifth right now heading into Wimbledon. I know she won last year, but it was kind of like a perfect storm for her to win. I don't know if she's going to be able to duplicate it this year because other women are playing better. Kerber didn't look good at the French Open. She hasn't really wowed me that much this year. If Serena's healthy, Serena should be right up there to win it. I like Osaka. I like Kiki, and I think Barty has a chance. It really comes down to where Kerber is in the draw, which doesn't come out till Friday. So as of this recording, we haven't been able to see the draw yet. So for Kerber, it really depends where she ends up, how much of a chance she has to win. For Djokovic, it doesn't matter. You can line them all up. He's going to knock them all down.
Well, you mentioned two names when it came to Djokovic's side, and that would be Nadal and Federer. If either of them were to take down Djokovic, which we agree that Djokovic is the clear favorite to win Wimbledon this year, track record last year, all that stuff, which of those two would stand the better chance to threaten Djokovic, to possibly push him towards maybe taking him off of his throne this year?
Well, it would be Federer. Federer in his prime on grass is better than Djokovic in his prime on grass. So if Federer was in his prime still, he would win this. So we've got on the downside of his prime, Federer, who should be able to make it to the finals unless he has some kind of poor performance that gets knocked off. And he has in a couple Grand Slams. You know, you would think he's going to make it far, and then all of a sudden he loses in like the quarterfinals because he just plays poorly, or he's just not as dominant as he used to be. But at Wimbledon, he always seems to have more magic there because of it being the grass and because of it being Wimbledon, the most prestigious Grand Slam, the most prestigious tennis tournament in the world. He raises his game just a little bit more. His game is better suited for grass. We're not talking clay here for Nadal. So Federer should, out of him and Nadal, be the one that would have the better chance of beating Djokovic. And they could end up facing each other in the finals. They should end up facing each other in the finals, I should say, because Federer got the 2 seed. We know the seeds already. Federer got 2, Djokovic 1, Nadal was 3. So unless Nadal somehow upsets Djokovic in the quarterfinals or semifinals, it should be Federer, Djokovic, if Federer doesn't have a lapse along the way. But even with that said, Djokovic should still win. He's just that much better than everybody right now. And outside of Federer and Nadal, I don't see any other man or any other men's tennis player having a shot at winning this tournament. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's one of those three or nobody.
So besides picking a tournament winner, what kinds of bets do you think provide the best potential for potential bettors, especially in a tournament, especially on the men's side, where there's only 2 or 3 real betting options that you could truly make with any kind of confidence? What other things can be wagered on? What have you seen this early on that caught your attention?
There are numerous prop bets out there for Wimbledon. Just like when we discussed with the French Open, You can pick like Djokovic to win the tournament, or Djokovic versus the field. You can even pick like Nadal or Federer, or a combination of them both versus the field. Which I would, I don't remember the odds for that off the top of my head, but depending on what that is, if they do have a Nadal, Federer, one of those two winning combined prop bet, that one would be appealing because there's a small chance that can happen if Djokovic doesn't win. It would most likely be one of those two who ends up winning at Wimbledon. I just don't see, at least not right now, anybody else below Nadal in the seeds or anybody else below Federer in the world rankings that has a legitimate chance of dethroning. They would have to dethrone at least two of the big three. And I just don't see that happening. So prop bet wise, look for some combinations of the field versus Djokovic, or maybe Federer and Nadal prop bet versus, the field or something like that. And it's the same with the women. The women have a lot of prop bets too, but they're more intriguing because it's more wide open on the women's side.
All right, pick time. We know you're going with Djokovic to win on the men's side. So who are you taking on the women's side to win this year's tournament? I know that's a tricky one, especially before the draw has come out. And you are going with Djokovic, correct, to win the men's side?
Absolutely. The Joker's going to win this one. And unless he gets injured and pulls out, the Joker's winning.
So who wins on the ladies' side then?
Man, this one's hard. I feel like I can change it every day leading up to Wimbledon. So I mentioned my top five: Barty, Osaka, Serena, Kiki, and Kerber. And I think one of those five will win it. I'm going to eliminate Barty because I saw a stat recently that said, it's basically been over a decade since a woman has won French Open and Wimbledon in the same year. And the last person to do that was Serena Williams, and she's done it twice in her career. I don't see Barty being able to do that. I know she's the world's number one and she's number one seed for Wimbledon, but this is a lot of pressure on her. She wasn't number one heading into the French Open. She was like eighth or something like that. And so she's got a lot more pressure on her now. She's not great on grass. She hasn't showed us a lot of being a dominant player on grass. I'm eliminating her. Kerber, as I mentioned, and obviously it all comes down to the draw. In the French Open, the top half of the women's draw was like five of the top seven potential winners were in that. And so you knew right then and there you're going to have to start eliminating a lot of these potential bets. So it does come down to the draw. But then if you got a healthy Serena Williams, she wasn't healthy in the French Open. The problem, though, is I saw a stat she's pulled out of 3 of 5 tournaments, of her last 5 tournaments, because of injuries or health. That concerns me heading into Wimbledon. It concerned me heading into the French Open. It concerned me with the Australian Open. It concerned me last year with her in the U.S. Open. She wasn't 100% at the U.S. Open and ended up losing to Osaka. Osaka also went on to win the Australian Open this year. She stumbled in the French Open, but she was in a tough division, a tough region, sorry. So depending on the draw for Wimbledon, I like Osaka. I'm not confident in Serena until I know she's as close to 100% possible. So I can't put money on her to win this. Angelique Kerber, I can't put money on her either right now because I'm not confident in her. So for me, just like at the French Open, it comes down to Osaka and Kiki. And so I'm curious to see what the draw is, because Kiki was playing the best tennis outside of Osaka headed into the French Open, and then she got really sick and she had to pull out. And by all accounts, she was sick for another 5 days after that, in bed, throwing up and all that stuff. She got a really bad viral infection. She's gotten better. She says she's preparing for Wimbledon. She's feeling a whole lot better. She doesn't have the pressure of being number one heading into the tournament. She can come in there and probably get a better draw than she would if she was higher seeded, because there are some tough grass players that are going to be lower seeds. So we'll see how that measures up. For me, though, right now, before I see the draw and everything, I'm going with Osaka to win. I just feel like she's elevated her game a lot. When she beat Serena last year at the U.S. Open, even though it was controversial, quotation marks. She elevated her game, and then she bounced and she came back and followed that up and went in the Australian Open. 2 straight Grand Slams, her first 2 Grand Slams. She was number 1 in the world. She was playing solid tennis this year. French Open was a slip-up. She might not be that great on clay. She did okay last year in Wimbledon. I think she can improve on that. I think she has a chance. It depends on her draw. You know, she's not the top seed, so she doesn't have that pressure coming into this. So right now, since you're forcing me to do this, you're holding a tennis racket to my head, I'm taking Osaka to win. I still got this Kiki vibe going. I still think Kiki. I know she loves me, and I want to pick her to win, but I'm going Osaka. We'll see the draw on Friday. I still got to write my previews. I might end up picking somebody else by the time my article is published based on the draw. Going with Osaka.
Well, that makes it even more important to keep an eye on Rick's articles online at gamblingsites.org, where you can find plenty more from him and many other very talented writers. And you can also find more from Rick right here on the Odds On Favorites YouTube channel. Who do you think wins the 2019 Wimbledon Championship? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm Drew Goldfarb. He's Rick Rockwell. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.